Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for December releases, and this is probably going to be a quicker video than normal because we actually don't have that many releases in December. I feel like generally publishers, like, they do spring and fall releases and everything else kind of trickles out in between. I feel like everything is gearing up for the first quarter of 2019. So December is fairly tame as far as releases go. Now I still have some sequels and big titles that are coming out and then 5 that I want to discuss. So I'm just gonna jump right into those and we're just gonna get things moving. Obviously, the biggest title that everybody in the book world is going to be reading is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassie Clare. This comes out on the 4th. This is pretty much the main notable release that's coming out in December. We also have Evermore by Sarah Holland coming out on the 31st of December, so the sequel to Everless, along with The Cursed Sea by Lauren DeStefano. This is coming out on the 18th, and this is the sequel to the Glass Spare, I believe it was called. On December 4th, we have All the Wandering Light by Heather Fawcett. This is a sequel to Even the Darkest Stars, I believe. And also on the 4th, we have Once a King by Erin Summerall. This is I don't think it's technically a third book in the series, but it's a companion novel to the Ever the Hunted, Ever the Brave books, things. You know what I'm talking about. That's pretty much it as far as big releases that are coming out in the month of December. So let me get into 5 lesser known titles that I personally think sound really awesome. The first book that I want to talk about is Fire and Heist by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, first of all, since reading the first Queens of Renthia book by her, I am probably going to pick up anything that she writes at this point because her writing is so unique and beautiful. But this is going to be a really fun, I think, action-packed YA heist story. Obviously, heist is in the title, but we were following a girl named Sky who comes from a family where, along with taking your first steps, getting your driver's license, all those milestones of growing up as a kid in her family, another one of those milestones is leading your first heist. I mean, that's a pretty tough family. So this book is following Sky as she is leading up and performing her first heist to kind of maintain the facade that her family has built. What kind of family is this? I don't know. It sounds awesome, but the twist on this one is that it's pretty hard to perform a heist and steal some sought-after valuable when you are a wyvern. That's pretty much what caught my eye in the description of this. If I see the word wyvern or I see the word dragon in a synopsis, I want it. So this book follows Sky, who is a wyvern, which means she's a human who can transform into a dragon. I'm sold. Completely sold. This also sounds like it's gonna follow a band of misfit people that she gathers together to help her on this heist mission. I can't wait to see what happens with this. The cover is gorgeous, so December 4th is when you can get this one. The next book that I want to talk about is called Deadfall by Stephen Wallenfels, and this comes out on December 10th. So we are just launched into the story in kind of the middle of chaos. We are following twin brothers Ty and Corey who are on the run. I don't know what they're on the run from, but they are on the run. When they discover a deer that is in the woods that has clearly been hit by a car, it's badly injured, and then that leads to them finding the tire tracks of the car that presumably hit this deer. And as those tire tracks careen off of a cliff. So they trek down to see if they can find the car that hit this deer and clearly went careening to its fiery demise, I would assume. And when they find the car, the driver has clearly escaped. There's no driver, but there are signs that they left when they hear a sound in the trunk of the car. So that's enough to hook me. That is a hell of a synopsis, and I want to know so many things. I want to know what they're on the run from, why are they running? Also, what happened with this car? Who is in the trunk? Or what, I guess, is in the trunk? Why did the person who drove off the cliff run away from the wreckage? Obviously because they probably kidnapped somebody, but what's going on there? It sounds like a lot of parallels are gonna happen between these twin brothers and whatever they're trying to uncover about this car driver trunk situation. So honestly, this sounds great. I haven't heard that many things about it, but when I read that synopsis, I was like, ooh, that sounds great. So December 10th is when we can get this one. The next book I want to talk about is Stronger, Faster, and More Beautiful by Arwen Elise Dayton. This comes out on the 4th, like a lot of other books do. And this is going to be more of a futuristic, borderline sci-fi, questioning society type of story. So this is set in our world, but it's told through 6 different interconnected stories spanning from the near future to the very distant future. And it's going to basically push the question of how far humans are willing to experiment on ourselves to make the perfect human. So this is basically going to open up the question of a ton of thought-provoking concepts about human nature and how far we're willing to go to be perfect. So it's going to kind of delve into like genetic manipulation, I'm assuming like cosmetic surgeries, life extensions, and it's going to start to bring up the question of like whether we're playing God or not, or whether we are controlling nature too much or too little for our own sake of life and quality of life. So I think this is going to be such a cool, thought-provoking, like opening up the door to all of these questions type of story, and I can't wait to get to it. The next book I want to talk about is called What You Hide by Natalie D. Richards. This also comes out on the 4th of December, and this is going to be more of a contemporary. It's going to have some darker undertones, but it's definitely going to be lighter than the previous books that I discussed. So this is following Spencer, who volunteers at his local library, and a girl who is there named Mallory starts to like catch his eye. He starts to develop a crush on this girl, but as we start to learn about Mallory, I'm not sure if we're following her perspective, like if we're switching points of view in this book or not, but Mallory is 16 years old and she is homeless, and this is why she's in the library so much. So a little love relationship starts to blossom between the two of them when some mysterious stuff starts happening in the library. There are symbols that are starting to be written everywhere, there are threats that are starting to show up, and basically Spencer and Mallory kind of take it upon themselves to figure out who is behind this and what the whole situation is, because all of the management of the library is starting to catch wind of it, and Mallory, who is a homeless teenager, is obviously going to be one of the first suspects of all of these things happening. Even though she is not the one doing it, she's gonna look suspicious because she hangs out there a lot. So I feel like it's going to be kind of like a romance and cute, but also some like dark twists are gonna be thrown into it, so I'm pretty excited to get to this. And the last book that I want to talk about is called My Almost Flawless Tokyo Dream by Rachel Cohn. This comes on December 18th, and it sounds so good. This is totally a setting that I love reading about, so obviously this is going to take place in Tokyo. It's going to be kind of a futuristic, fictionalized type of Tokyo, but it is set at this really prestigious elite academy where all of the students are like international students who are basically like the top of the top. These are the students who can speak like 20 different languages flawlessly. They come from stupid money. They, like, their issues in life are like their private jet ran out of gas. Basically, like, these kids are like those rich kids that you feel are untouchable. So that is the setting. We are at this really prestigious academy full of all of these students. When we meet Elle, who is our protagonist in the story, she lives in DC and finds out that her long-lost father is actually like a huge hotel tycoon mogul guy and wants to invite her to come live with him in Tokyo and attend this academy. So she is kind of ripped from her life and thrown into this crazy, rich, elite world and kind of has that fish out of water experience. She starts to create some tension when she starts to develop a crush on, of course, the only boy at this academy who is like frowned upon by these elite students. He's kind of been kicked out because he's kind of a rebel and different from all of these richy rich kids, and it's creating turmoil within her family because her father is like fitting into this elite community and doesn't approve of her falling for a guy who doesn't fit that uniform. So I think it's going to be really cool. I'm mainly really excited about the Tokyo setting because I love reading about like high-tech futuristic Tokyo. So I'm very excited to see this. Rachel Cohn is a pretty beloved YA author at this point, so I can't wait to see what she does with this. And that is it for this video. Those are all of the books that I wanted to briefly mention and let you guys know that are coming out in December. There are some good titles coming out, but it's definitely going to be a calmer month as far as releases go, so we can definitely have time to prepare for the holidays, and we have time to prepare for all of the reading that is going to be thrown at us come 2019. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you hit subscribe because I do these videos every single month, and I will see you guys in my next one.